Welcome! We are about to dive into a really fascinating thought experiment. We're going to try and bridge a 500-year gap in history and connect two of the most innovative minds the world has ever seen. So let's just get right to it. The big question. If Elon Musk, the guy behind SpaceX and Tesla, could actually sit down with Leonardo da Vinci, the original Renaissance man, what in the world would they even talk about? It's a pretty wild idea, but it opens up some incredible insights.
Now, we're not going to sit here and make up some cheesy fictional dialogue. No. Instead, we're going to explore why this very idea, just imagining this meeting, is such a perfect way to understand the timeless nature of innovation itself. It's all about a pattern of genius that just seems to repeat itself across the centuries.
Because, when you strip everything else away, their stories are really about the exact same two things. First, how do you face down enormous, seemingly impossible challenges? And second, how do you actually produce work that is so groundbreaking it literally changes the world? Okay, so let's get into it. We're going to start with the most fundamental thing they have in common, this absolute refusal to be stuck in a single box. They are both the ultimate examples of what we call a polymath. And honestly, it's the secret to how they saw the world so differently from everyone else. So what even is a polymath? Well, simply put, it's somebody whose expertise spans a whole bunch of different subject areas. But here's the key. They don't just, collect trivia. They actively draw on what they know from one field to solve really tough problems in a completely different one. This is the key that unlocks their genius. And just look at the sheer breadth here. This is what's so wild. For Da Vinci, his study of human anatomy, he was dissecting corpses, that wasn't separate from his art. It's the reason the Mona Lisa smile feels so real. He used engineering to figure out how to build cathedral domes. Now, for Musk, it's his background in software that informs everything. He builds cars and rockets like a programmer would, using iteration, constantly pushing updates. That whole idea was totally foreign to old-school manufacturing. See? They didn't just dabble. They achieved mastery because they were cross-pollinating their skills. This thought, which is often credited to Da Vinci himself, really just gets to the heart of it. True genius isn't only about going super deep in one single area. It's about having the versatility to connect ideas from different, totally unrelated fields, like anatomy and painting or software and rockets, to create something brand new. But let's be real, being a visionary is not easy. In fact, that very versatility, that ability to see things differently, often means you're going to face relentless pushback. And that brings us to our second core theme. The incredible, almost unbelievable adversity both of these men had to overcome. You have to remember, for Da Vinci, his problems were totally a product of his time. He had to deal with the shifting loyalties of powerful patrons who funded his work, or didn't. He had fierce rivals like Michelangelo, and he was constantly frustrated by all these amazing projects he couldn't finish because the technology to actually build his flying machines and war devices, it just didn't exist yet. Okay, now let's jump forward 500 years. The challenges, they look a little different on the surface, but the pressure is exactly the same. Musk has stared down bankruptcy for both SpaceX and Tesla. At times he was weeks away from collapse. He's faced insane public scrutiny, gone through manufacturing nightmares that he literally called production hell, where he slept on the factory floor. And, of course, who can forget the rockets spectacularly blowing up on the launch pad for the whole world to see? And that, right there, that's the core truth. It doesn't matter if you're trying to invent a helicopter in the year 1500 or land a reusable rocket in 2020. The fundamental struggle is identical. It's the brutal, unforgiving process of taking a revolutionary vision out of your head and making it a real thing in the physical world. So, what does this all mean for us? What's the takeaway? Well, looking at these two lives, side by side, 5 centuries apart, it gives us more than just a cool history lesson. It actually reveals a kind of blueprint, a playbook for achieving extraordinary things. Yeah, their experience gives us this blueprint. First, embrace a deep, relentless curiosity. And I don't mean just reading an article. I mean, like Da Vinci, getting your hands dirty to really, truly understand how something works. Second, build resilience. You have to. Musk once said after a rocket blew up, at least the crater is in the right place. It's about seeing failure as just more data. Third, you got to connect ideas from different fields. Use first principles thinking to break problems down to their absolute basics and ignore how it's always been done. And finally, number 4, execute. Relentlessly. A vision is totally worthless without the sheer drive to make it happen, even if it means sleeping on the factory floor.
So here's the bottom line. The world is full of brilliant people, people with absolutely brilliant ideas. What separated Da Vinci and what separates someone like Musk isn't just the vision. It's the sheer, stubborn tenacity to just endure failure and criticism and near catastrophe to literally force that vision into existence. Which, it all brings us to one final, really provocative question. We often call Musk a modern-day Da Vinci, but who else fits that description? Who else is out there right now working across a ton of different fields and just pushing against the grain? Because the next person who truly changes the world, they probably won't be just an engineer or just an artist or just a scientist. They're going to be the one who's thinking across all those boundaries, connecting ideas that nobody else sees, and having the grit to actually see it through. And that person, they could be anywhere.